Well, hello and welcome to this month's Phrase Builder lesson. It is a pleasure to welcome you back if you've been with us for a while, and hello if you're new. We have an actually really interesting lesson set this month. We're going to talk about a wide range of things that have to do with a little bit of traveling, exploration, doing some other things that are, kind of normal in everyday life, but also checking out cultures and exploring, as I said. So it should be a really interesting mix of words, but you'll see how they all work together in the conversation. So as usual, in this lesson, we'll be covering the shorter words first, and then we'll talk about the longer phrases and expressions after that. Let's begin. Okay, our first word is aspiring. Aspiring. Now remember, this is different from inspiring. To inspire someone means to help motivate them, like I'm trying to inspire you to improve your English, so get out and start practicing. I'm trying to inspire you to do that. But to be aspiring to do something or to aspire to do something means that you have a particular goal or you have a particular aim. So in your case with English, you are an aspiring English learner. You're an aspiring English learner, or you are aspiring to learn English. So you're aspiring to get fluent, aspiring to learn English, aspiring to become, whatever else your goals are in your life. And you'll see this in the conversation when Henry is talking about being an aspiring musician. So usually when people talk about this, the two big ones that you'll hear in conversations are aspiring musician and aspiring actor. So people that are saying, well, I'm working as a waiter in a restaurant, but really I'm an aspiring musician. So really I want to do this, and that's my real goal, but I have to do this other job over here. So whenever you're aspiring to do something, that's your goal. Aspire. Aspire. Next, a great conversational word, max. Max. To have a max of something or a maximum limit, this is the short form of maximum, it just means that you're having a higher limit or the greatest amount of something you can possibly do. So as an example, maybe I have a max of about 3 hours to practice playing the guitar every day. So I can practice for 3 hours max, and then I have to go do my work or whatever else it is I have to do. So to have something max, this is a great way conversationally to say that you only have a certain amount of time or a certain amount of effort or something like that, a certain amount of energy. So this power, maybe I have a light bulb here, it can shine for 20 hours max. So 20 hours maximum. Or I can run for maybe 5 kilos max. And this is just how you would use it in a conversational expression. So I can do something, maybe I can walk for 10 hours max, but then I fall down after that. So 10 hours max, and you can end a sentence like that as well. So I've been practicing for English, speaking English for a long time, but I can only speak in a conversation for 5 minutes max, something like that. Anyway, I highly recommend you use this, and again, listen for it in the conversation as well. Max. Max. Next, to be over with something. To be over with something. Now, when you're finished with something, these are very related, so listen carefully. When I'm finished with something, it just means I've stopped doing that thing. I don't have any emotional content or any emotional feeling in any way about that thing. So if I'm eating my dinner and I stop, I'm finished with dinner. If I'm doing my homework and I stop, I'm finished with my homework, but I'm not thinking about it in a good or a bad way. So I'm just finished with my homework, I'm finished with this video, if I've stopped making this video, that kind of thing. But to be over with something, this is a related thing, but slightly different. This is where we have emotion in that, and it's usually where we're really tired about something or we're not very happy with that thing. So I'm over with that situation. I'm over with that. I'm over with that. So I can be over a situation or over with a situation. It just means that I don't like it anymore. Like, oh, like my ex-girlfriend, yeah, I'm over that. I'm over her. I'm over her. So it just means I've stopped that, and I also have, kind of an emotional or maybe a very strong emotional feeling about that, where I'm not excited about my girlfriend or I'm even upset with her. So I'm done with that relationship. I'm over with her, or I'm over her. I've forgotten about her. I'm past that. You can also talk about being over something, like maybe a new fashion trend. So maybe like these t-shirts are very fashionable right now, but maybe next year people are over with these t-shirts. They're over them. They're over these t-shirts. They don't use them anymore. They don't like wearing them, that kind of thing. So when you're over with something, it's something that you pass and you're leaving it behind. You're not going to use that thing anymore. And usually there's some kind of emotional connection, some kind of deeper feeling with that thing. I'm over with that. I'm over that. I'm over that. I'm over my ex-girlfriend. I'm over my ex-girlfriend. Next, the expression full on. Full on. Now, Henry is from Australia, and this is an Australian expression. You won't really hear this in America. I don't know about the UK. Maybe some people use it, I think, but it's not a very American expression. If you hear someone say that something is full on, it just means there's a lot of that thing. So, work is really full on right now. So it just means like full on, like I have a lot of that thing. So you can kind of guess the meaning of that. But again, it's an Australian expression, and if you use it in America, people might not understand what you're saying. But, if you go to Australia, there you go. So these lessons are really full on, so my English learning is really full on. Right now I'm practicing a lot, I'm studying a lot. It just means there's a lot of that thing. Full on. Full on. Next, another great word, monotonous. Monotonous. Now, in this set of lessons, we'll cover a few things, the prefixes and the suffixes of words. These are the little pieces that begin a word. So bicycle, you've got like bi, and you've got cycle. So 2 circles. And when you're learning a lot of vocabulary, it's a really great idea to learn these pieces of words so that you can really maximize your vocabulary learning. Because if you learn all these different pieces, then you can put them together to make lots of different words. So the word mono means one, and monotonous, like monotone, just means one sound. So something that is monotonous, and again, notice how it kind of changes from monotone to monotonous. Monotonous. Yeah, this is a really monotonous situation. It just means it's boring and it doesn't change. It's the same thing over and over again. Monotonous. I was at a lecture yesterday, and it was very monotonous. I didn't enjoy it at all. It was very boring to listen to. So some people are really animated. They move around a lot. It's a very exciting lecture. But other people, it's very monotonous and boring. Monotonous. Monotonous. Next, pro and con. These are great native conversational words you can use when you're talking about the positive or the negative of something. So you can say, well, with my new job, a pro, or a positive thing, a pro is that it's close to my house. But a con, or a negative thing, is that maybe I don't get paid as much as I'd like. So there are pros and cons with everything. Pro, con. Pro, con. Next, jaded. Jaded. To be jaded means you're kind of tired of something, or maybe you don't really like it so much anymore, or you've done it so many times that it's just not your thing. You don't really like to do it. You can also feel jaded about something where maybe you like bring your lunch to school every day, but somebody keeps stealing your lunch, or they keep stealing something like that. And after a while, you don't want to bring your lunch anymore. The situation has kind of jaded you. So you think, well, all people are bad. I don't like that people try to steal my lunch, that kind of thing. So you feel bad about that situation. So it can be feeling bad, or it can also just be feeling kind of tired of something. Yeah, I'm kind of jaded. I'm jaded. I've been like, maybe some people are jaded about learning English. Maybe you've been learning English for a long time with many different programs, and you feel kind of jaded about the whole learning situation. So you're tired of it, like, why can't I just get fluent? Why can't I just find a program that works? And if you just find something and stick with it, then you will get fluent. But maybe you feel a little bit jaded if you've been studying for a long time. Jaded. Jaded. Next, we've got 2 words that are usually for younger people. This is a bit more of a younger generation, and actually the person I'm speaking with in the conversation this month, Henry, he is, I believe, maybe 20 years old or 19 years old. So he's going to use the vocabulary of a slightly younger person. And these 2 words are killer and sweet. Sweet. So the first one, killer. Killer just means it's a slang word of like, wow, this is just really cool. Like, wow, that was a killer roller coaster we went on. That was just a really amazing, a really exciting, something like that. So something that's killer, it could be like a killer vacation. Again, it's one of those things that young people would use it. I don't really recommend this word if you're, watching or if you're in a conversation with people at work, something like that. But again, these are the kinds of things that I'll teach you because you will see them in movies, and I want you to see how the language is evolving, so the new things that are coming up that younger people are using. So it's killer. Hopefully these are some killer English lessons. Maybe you wouldn't say that, but hopefully you can. Hopefully you can. It just means something that's really exciting and good. So the second word, sweet. It just means it's like an exclamation thing. You can say, wow, a friend of mine got tickets to the new concert. Sweet. It just means yes, very cool, very exciting, sweet. So it's the regular word. This is, just like I'm eating something sweet like some cookies. But the, again, slang usage of that, it just means cool or exciting or great. I hope these lessons are killer. And I hope every time you get a mail from me, you're like, sweet, yes. Next, a more advanced word, proficient. Proficient. To be proficient at something just means to be skilled. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to help you become proficient in English. So if you can become a proficient English speaker, then you can speak confidently and you can enjoy lots of more things, maybe in business or personal life, whatever those things are. But hopefully you are becoming more proficient as you learn more each month and you get out and practice. Proficient. Proficient. Next, a creative outlet. Creative outlet. To have an outlet just means a way of releasing some kind of energy or some kind of thing. Like the outlet on your sink is where the water comes from. You could call that an outlet, or also just like a plug on the wall where you get your power from. So if you plug in something, this little box or the little rectangle on the wall, this is called an outlet. It just means where the power comes out. So a creative outlet just means you have all this creativity inside you. You need to find some way to release that energy, and a creative outlet might be something like playing music or making art, or what I do. Actually, this is my creative outlet. I like to teach. So I like to think of different ways I can help people learn, and that's my creative outlet. So a way of letting my creativity come out in some way in the real world. Creative outlet. Creative outlet. And our last two short words, we've got angst and melancholy. Angst and melancholy. You'll often hear these words used together or in similar situations. To have angst, just think of the word anxious. Angst, anxious. So angst just means you're kind of worried, you're upset, you're not feeling calm and comfortable, and maybe you don't have a specific reason why. So often we talk about teenagers this way, that there's kind of teenage angst. It's a general kind of worry or a feeling bad that maybe people are experiencing because they don't really know a specific thing that's causing it, but it's just kind of a general, I'm kind of like angry at the world and I don't really know why. So the kind of typical teenager situation. So this is teenage angst. It's a kind of general worry. So the same thing with melancholy. Now, melancholy is less of a kind of worry and anger like angst. Anger is kind of slightly in teenage angst a little bit. So you've got anxious and anger and angst, all these like ang words. So think about that. But then you've got melancholy, which is kind of a general sadness. And this is also something maybe teenagers experience or other people. Maybe you're just kind of feeling sad one day. You don't really have a reason why. This is a melancholy feeling. Melancholy. It's a really great advanced word you can use, but it'll help you sound more native as well and conversational. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit melancholy today. I'm feeling a bit melancholy today. I've got a lot of angst. I've got a lot of angst. I've got a lot of angst. Angst, melancholy. All right, now let's move into our longer phrases and expressions that you'll see in the conversation this month. The first one is, what are the odds? What are the odds? Now, what are the odds? This is a fantastic phrase. I highly recommend you use this. It's got lots of uses in many situations. But to talk about something, the odds of that thing are the chances of that thing happening. So maybe a meteor comes down and like hits my car. And it's a very rare thing, so I can say, wow, what are the odds of that? So what are the chances of something like that happening? But there are other situations where maybe something will happen quite frequently. Like if I live in Seattle and it rains, that's a pretty common thing. So you wouldn't use the expression, well, what are the odds of it raining in Seattle? Because the odds are pretty high. So when you're using this situation, you want to think of something where something really rare happens, and then you can say, wow, what are the odds? As an example, you are traveling in maybe Egypt or Antarctica, someplace where you think you're going to be alone, and then you meet like a friend of yours that you did not expect to be there, and you're really surprised to see them, and you thought, wow, that's a really rare thing that we both happen to be in this place at the same time. What are the odds? What are the odds? So it's a way of asking, what are the chances of this happening? Because it's maybe one chance in 10 million things or 10 million chances or something like that. But again, it's for rare situations. But anytime you see something like, the company does really well when it's not supposed to, or you meet somebody in a rare situation, or there's like, some kind of monster comes and you never expected that, what are the odds? What are the odds? Listen carefully to how this blends. What are the odds? 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 Next, very quickly, no worries. No worries. No worries. No worries is a great response that you can use when you're speaking with native speakers, and maybe there's, instead of saying it's okay or there's no problem, you can just say, oh, no worries. So someone says, oh, I'm sorry that I couldn't pick you up after school or something like that, and maybe it wasn't that big of a deal. You can say, oh, no worries. So instead of saying something like it's okay or it's not a problem, just native and casual way, and again, when you're talking with friends in a casual situation, this would be no worries, no worries. Now you could use this in some very casual business situations, but you want to make more of an apology. If you're making an apology to someone, or if someone is apologizing to you, you can say, oh, it's okay, or it's all right, that kind of thing. But no worries, again, it's just a casual way of saying it's okay. There's no problem. So usually for casual situations and when there's maybe like a slight thing that happens, but it's not that big of a deal. No worries, no worries. Next, you'll see me use this quite a bit in conversations with people. Thanks for taking the time to do something. So we've got to take the time to do something just means, I'm busy and I have to make a schedule for some time. I am taking time out of my day. So this is a more conversational way of talking about using time. You can also talk about making time for doing something. So I can thank my friend for making the time to meet me, or taking the time to meet me. Either of these is just fine. But you can always thank people for taking the time or making the time. And when you say this, it just shows that you really appreciate what they're doing. So instead of saying, thank you for meeting me, a little bit slightly more native and longer way of saying this is thank you for taking the time to meet me, or thank you for making the time to meet me. Next, to make the most of something, to make the most of something. It just means that whenever you have an opportunity to do something, you really want to give all of your energy and all of your effort to that thing. As an example, I am learning to play basketball and I'm still not very good, but I'm trying, and when I have practice opportunities, I want to make the most of those. So if I only have 1 hour of practice with the coach, then I don't want to just sit and, play video games on my phone or something like that. I actually want to make the most of that time and practice. So to make the most of something, or to make the most of a bad situation, it just means, again, even though you have an opportunity to not do a good job or to not use all of your energy, it's a good thing to make the most of your time, or to make the most of that situation. To make the most of that situation. Next, 3 expressions that are related: to get a grip on something, to get a hang or get the hang of something, and to get a handle on something. All of these mean generally the same thing, where you're kind of physically having the idea of holding something. When you're getting new or trying something new, you're doing something new and you're not used to that thing, like me trying to learn to play basketball, I can dribble a ball maybe with one hand pretty well, but if I have two balls bouncing, that's a little bit more difficult. So I haven't yet gotten the hang of doing that yet. So again, all I'm saying is that I'm getting there, but I haven't gotten a grip on how to do that yet. So I'm reaching, but I haven't yet gotten a grip or gotten the hang of that thing. So to get a handle on something, or to get a grip, or to get, just that feeling of connecting that you finally understand it now and you're starting to get more comfortable with that thing. When you're also talking about getting a grip, you can talk about getting a grip on yourself. And I've talked about this in the lessons before. So to get a grip on yourself, remember, to grip, it just means to hold something. So get a grip on yourself. Usually you'd use this when you're in a panicked situation, you're feeling nervous or you don't know what to do, and your friend says, hey, get a grip on yourself. It just means to control yourself. So when you're, again, learning to do something, I can't really control two basketballs very well. I'm not getting the handle of that thing. I'm not getting a grip on that yet. But as I practice more, I get the hang of that. I get a handle on that thing. I get a handle on that. So practice all of these things and listen for them in the conversation. Next, a great phrase, it looks good on a resume. You can also say that something looks good on paper. Now, a resume, this is the thing you give when you're going to apply for a job, and often people will write, really nice things about themselves. I'm a hard worker and I do this and that. So when you're talking about a resume, it's usually like the best picture of yourself that you're giving to an employer or, potential employer. So when something looks good on a resume, it just means some activity or experience you've had that when it's on a resume, people will find that impressive. So as an example, being able to speak 10 languages looks good on a resume. It looks good on a resume. So if I can show that to an employer, especially where being able to speak lots of languages is an important thing, like maybe I work in world government or, something like that, international government. So I need to work in a situation where I've got to use lots of languages. So I'm more likely to be hired if I have ability with that. So something that looks good on paper or looks good on a resume. We usually talk about something looking good on paper when maybe a person has, like if you just look at their resume, they sound like a really good person. But if you meet them in person, maybe they're not so good. So you can talk about especially like a potential boyfriend or girlfriend saying like, oh, like that person looks, they look good on paper, but in person, maybe they're not so nice. So to look good on a resume or to look good on paper. Next, very quickly, instead of talking about for a long time, it's much more native and conversational to say for hours on end. I will read for hours on end. I will play basketball for hours on end. I like to study Japanese for hours on end. So anything like that where instead of just saying I like to do something a lot or I like to do something for a long time, for hours on end. It just means many hours. For hours on end. Listen carefully to how it blends. For hours on end. 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 Next, I'm no authority on something. I'm no authority on baseball. I'm no authority on synchronized swimming. I'm no authority on mountain climbing. To be an authority on something just means you're very knowledgeable about that. So I am an authority on English fluency and speaking confidence. That's what I do. I do that every day. I teach for hours on end, or I work on lessons for hours on end all the time. So I am an authority on that. So if you're trying to say in a more conversational way that you don't really know anything about that, or if you're going to explain something, but you also want to say, well, just so you know, I'm not an authority on that thing, but I know maybe a little bit about that. So as an example, I've never been to New York City, but I know a little bit about it, from movies and what I hear from my friends and things like that. So I know New York a little bit, but I'm not an authority, or I'm no authority on New York City. So I'm not an authority, or I'm no authority on New York City. And the last one, another fantastic idiom we've got, more bang for your buck. More bang for your buck. This is a really great, fantastic thing I'd like to leave you with, and hopefully you use this a lot in your conversations. When you've got going to spend money on something and maybe you want to buy a new car, you want to get the most bang for your buck or more bang for your buck, and your buck just means $1 or the money you're spending. There are lots of different words. Maybe in your own language you have the same thing. There's maybe one or two words for money, and then you've got all these other ones as well. So in America, we have like the dollar, the greenback. You can talk about a buck. A buck just means $1. So $1, $2, $3. I've got $3 in my pocket. This shirt cost me $5, that kind of thing. So more bang for your buck just means more value for the money you spent. More bang for your buck. So hopefully when you're getting, more bang for your buck, like if I'm buying a new video camera, I don't want to get some cheap thing. I want to have, I have a budget of maybe like $1,000 I'm going to spend on a camera, and I want to get the most bang for my buck. So the most value, the most like explosion, the most power for the money I spend. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. I look forward to seeing you in the Fluency Corner lesson coming up next. Do, as always, go back and review all of these, and the more you use them, the more you practice them. You can begin with yourself, but then start using them in conversations with other people. And the more you practice, the more bang for your buck you'll get out of these lessons. Have a fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you in that lesson. Bye-bye.
To continue learning, click on the link in this video to download Speak English Naturally, our free guide to speaking and sounding like a native English speaker. The guide reveals the 3 most important kinds of conversational English you must learn if you want to sound native, and will help you experience instant improvement in your fluency and speaking confidence. To download your free guide on a mobile device, click on the link in the upper right of this video. To download your free guide from a computer, click on the link in the lower right of this video. I look forward to seeing you in the guide.